When I started building automated systems, the most frustrating part of my work wasn't creating content. It wasn't delivering results, and it wasn't even managing clients. The part that consumed the most energy was client acquisition. Trying to generate consistent interest every single day. Not one message here and there, not random spikes of attention, not unpredictable patterns I couldn't control. I wanted something stable, something predictable, something that didn't depend on motivation, luck, or daily effort. And for a long time, I genuinely believed that client acquisition had to be manual. I thought it was normal to spend hours every week sending messages, writing emails, trying to get replies, and constantly restarting the process from zero. Then something changed. I realized I could build a system that did all of this for me. A system that found potential clients, qualified them, interacted with them, followed up with them, and moved them toward a real conversation, a system that didn't need me to sit in front of a screen. A system that simply ran. And that's what I want to break down today. Most people don't have a client problem. They have a system problem. They think they're struggling because their skills aren't good enough or because their market is too competitive. But in reality, they don't have a reliable acquisition engine. They rely on hope. They rely on randomness. They rely on short bursts of motivation, and they expect results to come from scattered actions repeated without structure. The truth is simple. Without a system, nothing compounds, nothing scales, nothing becomes predictable. What I built over the past months was a system that solves all of this. A system that works even when I'm not paying attention. And it starts with one fundamental idea. Client acquisition is not a set of manual tasks. It is a machine. The first component of the machine is identification. You need to know exactly where your potential clients are. Not in a vague sense. Not in a broad description. You need specific locations. For some people, that's LinkedIn. For others, it's email. For others, it's content-driven inbound traffic. For some niches, it's even direct search behavior on Google. In my case, 2 channels created the strongest foundation. LinkedIn for direct discovery, and automated content distribution for inbound interest. Every day, the system scans new profiles, analyzes them, and selects people who fit the criteria. This isn't manual outreach. It's targeted identification based on patterns and behavior. The second component is qualification, and this is where AI becomes irreplaceable. The most exhausting part of client acquisition is determining who is actually a good fit, reading profiles, analyzing content, understanding business models, evaluating whether someone has the right budget or the right problem. This takes time, it takes mental energy, and it is almost impossible to do consistently. So I removed myself from the equation. The AI checks what people post, it checks what they engage with, it checks their job roles, their industry, their recent behavior. It assigns a score based on dozens of micro-signals. People with low scores are filtered out. People with medium scores stay in the monitoring pool. People with high scores go to the next stage. That alone eliminates most wasted effort. The third component is the initial contact. This is where most people fail. They send generic messages. They send long paragraphs. They try to pitch too early, or they avoid writing entirely because they don't want to be ignored. I solved this by building a messaging sequence that adapts to each person. The AI writes custom messages based on real data. The messages sound human because they are based on what that person has actually posted or interacted with. The automation never sends the same message twice. Every message is contextual, and when your outreach feels natural, people reply naturally. The fourth component is dynamic follow-up, and this is where most acquisition systems die. If you follow up too aggressively, people get annoyed. If you don't follow up at all, opportunities disappear. AI solves this by analyzing behavior in real time. If someone opens a message but doesn't reply, the system chooses one type of follow-up. If they don't open it at all, it chooses a softer one. If they interact with certain content, the tone shifts. If they show higher intent, the timing accelerates. Everything is responsive, everything is adaptive, and everything is based on data, not emotion. The fifth component is automated content distribution. This is the invisible engine that keeps everything running without manual effort. The system generates ideas based on audience behavior. It drafts posts automatically. It selects visuals. It schedules everything in optimal time slots. People see consistent activity without realizing it's automated. And consistent visibility creates trust. Trust increases interaction. Interaction increases the pool of warm leads. And warm leads are easier to convert. This part of the system is single-handedly responsible for keeping the acquisition engine alive every day. The sixth component is conversion. Not everyone should be pushed into a call immediately. Not everyone should be pitched on the first interaction. That's where most freelancers and agencies burn opportunities. In my system, conversion happens only when a person reaches a certain threshold of engagement, not based on guesswork, based on signals. If the behavior indicates real interest, the system triggers the invitation to talk. Not a push, not pressure, just a natural next step. And because the invitation comes at the right moment, most people respond positively. They already know who I am, what I do, and why the conversation makes sense. There is no convincing, no chasing, no friction. The seventh component is learning. This is the part that transforms a basic system into a compound asset. Human outreach is static. AI outreach evolves. Every message that works is recorded. Every message that fails is recorded. Every behavior pattern that leads to conversion is recorded. The system improves automatically. It understands tone. It understands timing. It understands what triggers interest. It understands what pushes people away. Over time, this turns into a form of intelligence that I could never replicate manually, even if I spent 10 hours a day doing outreach. And all of this runs without a team. That's the surprising part for most people. They assume that systems like this require large operations, expensive tools, and complex workflows. But they don't. They require clarity. They require understanding the flow of attention, qualification, interaction, and conversion. AI handles the rest. The system works whether I am online or offline, whether I am focused or tired, whether I am working or not working. It doesn't depend on my energy. It doesn't depend on my routine. It doesn't depend on luck. Building it wasn't about writing code. It wasn't about knowing advanced technical skills. It was about mapping the process. Every business has a process, whether they realize it or not. And once you identify it, you can automate it. Some people automate too early because they don't understand the logic of their own workflow. Others don't automate at all because they assume it's too complicated. The truth is in the middle. You automate what is repeatable. You automate what is predictable. You automate what drains mental energy without adding much value. And client acquisition is almost entirely made of tasks like these. The system I built is now the backbone of everything I do. It finds people. It qualifies them. It interacts with them. It follows up. It publishes content. It learns. It improves. It scales. It never sleeps. It never burns out. It never gets distracted. And most importantly, it gives me back time and clarity, time to build, time to think, time to operate strategically instead of reactively. In the next video, I will show you the internal architecture of this system, how each block connects to the next, how to map your own workflow, and how to start building an automated acquisition engine even if you have no technical experience. Because once you understand the components, you can build something that removes uncertainty from your business and turns client acquisition into a predictable, automated process. a system that works even when you don't.